Star of the upcoming sequel film Beetlejuice, Jenna Ortega, had some very interesting comments about gender swapping in male dominated franchises. And let me tell you, her comments probably shocked most of Hollywood.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Studio Jake vidcast. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you so much for watching today. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring that little bell if you're watching on YouTube, and consider becoming a channel member. All right. So, yeah, it's true. On this channel, I make fun of celebrities a lot because they frequently say incredibly stupid things, but I like to give credit where credit is due when one or more of them say something that actually makes sense. A good example of this is Matt Smith's comments on trigger warnings in television shows. And today, though, we're talking about Jenna Ortega, who, of course, plays Wednesday Addams in the Netflix show Wednesday, which is produced by Tim Burton. I believe he directed one or two of the episodes, but she made some comments about gender swapping in film franchises that really raised some eyebrows, but also impressed me. So, this is according to Evie magazine. Jenna Ortega says women deserve their own franchises. I don't want to see Jamie Bond. We've already seen failed attempts with gender swap movies like the Ghostbusters reboot, the disappointing Ocean's 8 spinoff, and The Hustle, a 2019 remake of the film Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Hollywood just keeps giving us remake after remake, so it's refreshing to hear a celebrity finally acknowledge that women deserve their own original movies. Perhaps in time, more actors will openly agree that it's time to move beyond the gender spin-offs. Jenna Ortega gives us hope. In a recent interview with MTV, the Beetlejuice sequel star was asked about the possibility of starring as Edith Scissorhands in a female-led remake of Edward Scissorhands directed by Tim Burton. Ortega was quick to say she'd rather star as a completely original character in a new franchise. I love that there's a lot more female leads nowadays. I think that's so special, but we should have our own, Ortega said. I don't like it when it's like a spin-off. I don't want to see like Jamie Bond, I want to see another bad A. We will never see a Jamie Bond, at least not anytime soon. Barbara Broccoli, the producer of the James Bond franchise, has long been a key figure in shaping the iconic spy series. She foreshadowed Ortega in a 2021 The Hollywood Reporter interview when she addressed the debate whether the next James Bond should be a woman. I think the next James Bond will be a man because I don't think a woman should play James Bond, Broccoli stated. I believe in making characters for women and not just having women play men's roles. I don't think there are enough great roles for women, and it's very important to me that we make movies for women about women. Well said. And now I want you to go and read the full article at evmagazine.com. So yeah, right on. I think Jenna Ortega's comments are exactly correct. I enjoyed her performance in Wednesday. I thought she made a very good Wednesday Addams. I didn't really care for her in Miller's Girl. I thought that movie in particular was pretty terrible. You can read my review for both of those at studiojakemedia.com. However, I do think Jenna Ortega is a decent actress. She does good jobs in the roles that she is given, and I think her comments here are spot on. In James Bond particular, I always am baffled by the debate about it. Now, I'm not a James Bond super fan by any stretch of the means. I haven't seen all the films, but I've at least seen one of every of the actors. I've seen a couple of the Sean Connery films. I've seen a couple of Roger Moore's, George Lazenby's film. I've seen a couple of Pierce Brosnan's, some of Daniel Craig's. I've seen all of Timothy Dalton's because, of course, he was famously only in two. And by the way, Tim Dalton is the most like the Ian Fleming novels and short stories. He personified the book version of James Bond. Just want to get that out there. Anyway, back to that. There has always been this sort of debate on should James Bond's race or gender be changed, and the answer to that is no. James Bond should exist exactly how he is described in the Ian Fleming novels. And that's not a bigoted statement, that's just saying it shouldn't veer from the source material. It should stay close to it. Give actors or actresses their own roles, their own franchises. Idris Elba is famous for his role as Luther. I wouldn't want to see a woman take over the role of Luther or a white actor take over the role of Luther. I think he is perfect for that role. I think that he personifies that character. He does a good job. I loved Luther the series, and I loved the spin-off film. I thought it was really good. Even with a little retconning they did to the finale of the TV show, I think that he did a great job in that TV show and in those films. And the same is said of Jenna Ortega. She is getting an opportunity to other actors and actresses, other celebrities, for what she has said in regards to this. And I think she is spot on. And again, I don't want to see a dude play Wonder Woman, right? I don't want to see a dude play Shuri from Black Panther. I want those two characters to exist as they are, as who they are in their respective franchises. I don't understand the litany or the process of saying, hey, we have to make female led action films, action stars. There's no problem with that. But when you try to emulate or copy or give a spin-off to a woman, despite of what went on before, that's an issue. I also love the argument. Actually, I find it kind of humorous. I say I love it because I love to laugh at it, where people say, oh, there were no female action stars or female sci-fi leads circa 2012. Absolutely preposterous. We had the Alien franchise, we had the Hunger Games, we had the Bionic Woman, we had the Sarah Connor Chronicles, we had Sarah Connor. We had all of these amazing, strong women. What happened though is we had a crop of writers in Hollywood who were just obsessed with woke, who were obsessed with identity politics, and they decided that the men needed to be betas and the women needed to be alpha males. Ironically, though, they would be the first to denounce the alpha males, right? It's exactly right. I find alpha males really hilarious because, in an alpha society, there's only one alpha. So I'm not saying I like alphas or whatever. I'm just saying I think it's kind of ironic that these Hollywood screenwriters are trying to turn these women into OPs, overpowered. They try to make them into Mary Sue's and they just expect you to like it. And that's not how it works. You have to relate, you have to connect to the character. Ripley was a very relatable character in the Alien franchise. Katniss Everdeen was a very relatable female protagonist in the Hunger Games trilogy. All that to say, I don't need a man to be Katniss Everdeen for me to connect with her because I understand the struggle she goes through, both inner and outer. It makes sense to me. I understand it. But no, Hollywood screenwriters think everything has to have some sort of personification of every single subculture, of every single type of person, and that's just not possible. When you try to please everyone, you please no one except yourself, right? It's a very selfish mentality. It's main character syndrome. And good for Jenna Ortega for saying this is not the way. We should create original characters. And like I said, I'm not opposed to James Bond introducing a female spy and then giving her a spin-off film, for instance. There's nothing wrong with that. But it needs to be done well. It needs to be well written. It needs to show that this woman isn't just a carbon copy of James Bond. She has to have her own unique presence, her own unique drives, her own unique story. It makes so much more sense and it's more enjoyable viewing when it is that way. That's just really good storytelling. And quite frankly, it's lazy, it's creatively bankrupt when you just say, hey, we're going to take out Ant-Man and we're going to replace him with his spoiled brat teen daughter. And we're going to make his accomplishments, his goals, his dreams, his hopes, his success in Avengers Endgame. We're going to downplay that and even ridicule it, even though his selfish, spoiled brat daughter, her actions are what start the motion of the plot. We're still going to make it where she can change a villain's mind by saying, don't be a insert insult here. I mean, that it was so preposterous. I really liked Ant-Man. I really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. Those were kind of some of the first Marvel films where they felt more like Disney films, but I still found both of them enjoyable. Not so with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, because again, they wanted to ridicule Scott Lang, Ant-Man, an Avenger, and rise up his spoiled brat daughter, who again, her selfishness caused the plot. But oh, because she was jailed by the villain, that makes it okay. It's absolutely silly. It's absolutely stupid. Why not have the Wasp, whose name is in the movie title, have a bigger role? I have to say, she was one of my favorites of the new Avengers introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But instead of doing that, they decided to make the spoiled identity politics driven brat the hero of the story. And you can't do that. People won't connect with it. It won't make sense to them if they're like, why am I cheering for this bossy, snotty little kid? I should be cheering for Ant-Man. You have to give the characters their own agency and not just rely on the past being carbon copies or ridiculing the past. You have to give the audience a reason to cheer. So if any of you woke Hollywood scriptwriters are watching this, I'm sure you'll call me all kinds of names. You'll get your bots on YouTube to comment and whatnot, whatever. Point is, Jenna Ortega is correct. Women deserve their own franchises in films. It doesn't just have to be action or sci-fi. It can be all kinds of genres. It can be fantasy. It can be drama. It can be mystery, but not so long as they continue to just copy what the men are doing. They need to give original content that's well written and good. If you liked that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, and subscribe. Leave me a comment on what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications every time I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member where you get all kinds of perks. You can also support me, all my locals community. If you don't like big tech, don't blame you. Head over there. You can support me monthly or give tips to my articles. You can also support me by buying one of my novels. They're available on Amazon. Just search my name. They'll come right up in any of the distribution areas. You will enjoy them. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.